Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be showing you how to clean out or remove and clean out the carburetors on a 1994 Ducati Supersport 900. So I'm going to be cleaning it. I believe I have a float that's stuck on one of the carburetors, and the reason I think that is because, well, it's all my tank is all empty now, but one of these lines was leaking here, and you follow it up and it goes to that far side carburetor over there. So I'm going to need to clean it out so that it quits leaking gas everywhere. So to get started, you remove the back seat. It just comes off with the key there. You prop the tank up. It just has a little latch here that you undo. It has a nice little prop right there to hold it up, which is super nice. Next, take the battery out. It's super easy. Just most of them are 10mm bolts holding the two electrical wires on. And then this rubber thing here, pop those off. Next, what you want to do is you want to get the airbox off. So to do that, it has these metal things here, and all you do is take a flathead, pop it like that. It is going to pop out, so be sure that you keep it. That bar will slip out. You don't want to lose those. So take all 4 of them off of the airbox. So with all 4 of those off, the lid comes off there, and it's easiest if you just pull out the air filter with it. Next, you need to get all of the plastics off. So you're going to need a, I believe it's 5/32 Allen wrench. And so on here there's 4, 2 on both sides here, because you need to get this front plastic off. And then the mirrors also have 2. So you have one here, and then there's one right in here. You kind of have to move it around. So you need to get those 2 off on both mirrors, and then these 4 here, and this whole plastic piece here will come straight off. So with all those bolts off, this whole plastic piece comes off. Make sure you set it somewhere nice so that you don't scratch the front of that. Keep all the parts together. Next up, you need to get these side plastic pieces off. So it's the same Allen wrench, the 5/32 here, and then there's one here, and then on the exact opposite side as well. Right there and right there. So with those off, this will come off. All that's connecting it is the wires that go to your turn signals. So you can either disconnect those wires and completely remove this plastic fairing, or what I like to do is I just set it, there's a connecting piece right here. I just kind of set it so it's on the fender so that it's not completely hanging off of it, but just so that all that weight isn't on the wires for the turn signals. So when you get all 4 of those off, behind the plastic is this white plastic washer. Make sure that you get that as well, so you don't lose it. So next you need to take off the tank latch, which is right here, which is just 2 8mm bolts. So next, you need to, where'd it go? Sorry. There we go. You need to get this 8mm bolt. And then there's another one on the opposite side here, on the other side of the battery box. It's under this tube. What you're technically supposed to do is pull this tube out. See, it's hooked into the airbox here. So anyways, you're supposed to pull this out, and then it gives you room to undo that. The problem though is that this is a killer to get in and out. And so if you can, just work around it and get under here, and there's a 8mm bolt under here that's holding the battery box down that you need to let loose. So with both of those bolts off of the battery box, there's 2 more that are on the bottom of the airbox that are both 8mm bolts. You can kind of see it through here. It's right there where I'm touching it. So there's one here, and then there you go. You can see that other one. It's right there. So you need to get both of those. It's right, yeah, right there. You can tell it's connected to the airbox, so you need to get both of those off as well. Okay, so next you need to disconnect this electrical here. It goes to all the different fuse boxes and everything there. Next, you take a flathead, and you can find right where the airbox connects onto the carburetors here. So you can see right there. I needed to disconnect those from both carburetors, from this side, and then I'll have to go on the other side and do it as well. So with those off, the whole airbox will pop up. You kind of got to finagle it past this up here. You will have a relay here that was on the bottom of the airbox. It just slides right off. You can see the notches there. They were just on these metal notches here. So now you just kind of move it out of the way so you can get access to the carburetors. Okay, so there's a bunch of lines you need to pull off. Let's see. So first off, there's this line here. You can just twist it off, pull that off. Also pull off on the same exact side over here. It's the same thing, but for this carburetor, you pull that off. And then you can disconnect at the bottom there, basically the overflow where I was originally getting gas from both sides. Those just pop right off. Now, there's a couple of things. You want to disconnect the choke, which is this. If you undo that screw, you can either do a Phillips or I believe it's an 8. If you want me to check real quick. Yeah, it's an 8. So undo that and disconnect the wire from over here to pull it out. Now for the gas, there's a couple of options on where you want to disconnect it. So this is your gas line. You can see it comes from a Y and it goes into one tube here. Stock, it has these metal clips here. And to get those off, you take a flathead and you basically just pry kind of like that. I've already done it before, and I don't believe those are reusable. So I put a zip tie on. You can also get, you know, these ones with the screw to clamp down. I bought some of those, so I'll be putting it back on with that. So you can either disconnect it here, and stock, it also has that metal, weird metal thing that I don't think you can reuse. Sorry, right here. See, I took it off already, so I did a zip tie there as well. So you can either disconnect it here or back here. Either way, just be ready. You're going to get a decent amount of gas flowing. So be ready to put the tube up to try and stop the gas from flowing out. Something I failed to mention, I don't know if you saw it in the last clip actually, but this actually fell off of my airbox. So it took me a minute to find it. Really what I ought to have is I need to have some rags or paper towels or something covering here so that for one, gunk doesn't get in, and if I drop any screws or anything, it doesn't fall into the carburetor, because that'll create a lot of issues later on. So be sure to, before, pretty much as soon as you get the airbox popped up, be sure to put either some paper towels or probably rags would be best in here, just to plug it up so that nothing falls in there. So next, with all of that disconnected, there's another little hose here that goes to this box. You can disconnect it at either end. It's easiest just to disconnect it here. So that'll stay on the carb when you pull it off. Next, you need to, just as you did on the top of the carburetor, you need to loosen it from the boot that connects it into the cylinder, the intake. So just take a flathead and do that on both carburetors next. So here comes the most annoying part of getting the carburetors off, if any of that wasn't annoying already, is you need to get the throttle cables off. So to do that, you can see I have one undone. Oops, spilling gas. Doesn't matter. I have one undone, sorry for the light, right here. So what you do is you basically you pull this cap off, and basically what you do is you loosen this. You need to get this bolt all the way off before you can pull it off. So that's one way to do it. You could also, this entire piece here is connected to one of the screws on the float bowl. Unfortunately, the one float bowl that I couldn't get open was this one, and that's the one it's connected to. So if you can, without stripping it, you can pull off this entire metal piece that they're connected to, and then you could undo them that way. This is the only way I could do it. So pull it back. You need to be able to loosen this bolt all the way off, and then you can pull it out. And once that's done, you can pull the entire set of carburetors off. So with those undone, the carburetors pop right up, just like the airbox. As you take these off, you might want to label them so you know which goes where. Put a piece of tape on the one that goes further back, and then the cables just slide out. Same thing for these air intakes here, or air fuel intakes here. You want to put a rag or paper towel in there so that you don't drop any gunk in there or any screws or anything like that. So I guess I got it a little mixed up in my head. I thought that the carburetor that was leaking was the one that I couldn't get the bolts off of. It turns out it was the one that did. So with the carburetor off, they have Phillips head screwdrivers, or yeah, Phillips head screws. I think they're brass, so they strip super easy. You can see those ones there and there. Because I couldn't get them off, I almost stripped them. So there's a couple of options to get these off. I've seen, although it's a little hard on, these are a little larger screws. Sometimes on a smaller carburetor, they'll have smaller screws. And you can take some wire cutters, and you can basically grip onto here and pinch them super tight and be able to move it. That's one way to do it. Another way that I've seen is that, and I've used before, is you can take a hacksaw and actually cut it so that you make it a flathead. So you'd have to do that on whichever ones you can't get off. I couldn't get any of these four last time I took this carburetor off. So anyways, you can hacksaw it, and then you can take a flathead and take it off is one way to do it. When you do that, you're going to want to go to your local auto store or Ace or something like that, and take the screws in, get new screws. I personally like the ones that have the flathead and they're 6-sided, like a 8mm or something. Just take it, make sure so that you get the right threading for it and the right size. So anyways, that's how you take the float bowl off. Next, you'll want to take off, if you're going to be cleaning it, you're going to want to take off the jets. So for this one, these are the jets right here. So you need a flathead to take that off. So it's actually, like I feared, I was hoping it was just a stuck float, because if it was stuck down, then it would just constantly let gas in. Eventually it would overflow. But what I did, evidently when I tighten that, you can see I cracked it right there. So this is your outlet. When you loosen that, it lets you empty the bowls if you're going to store it. So it's leaking out of here. So I ended up, I cracked it right there. I'll have to figure out whether I'm going to JB weld it or what I'm going to do to fix that. So anyways, to continue with cleaning, when you get this off, what you do is, you can kind of see, you got to be able to see through it. If it's clogged at all, looks like there's anything in there, you can either blow through it, or I'll show you a trick in just a sec on what to do to be able to get gunk out of there. There's another teeny tiny jet that needs a flathead in this hole. So go ahead and loosen that out, and I believe that would be the idle jet. So make sure you clean that as well. That's the one that's going to gunk up first. So with the idle jet, the same thing. You look up through the sun. You're probably not going to be able to see it. But anyways, you should be able to see light through that, look through one eye. A lot of them will have holes on the side of it as well. Sorry, my camera's having a hard time focusing. It'll have holes on the side as well, so make sure those are clean. You can either use compressed air, make sure you don't lose your jets though when you do that, be very careful. Or what I love to do is you take a wire, you strip it back, and basically you cut off one single strand there that's long enough to go through the entire jet, and then just basically shove it through and clean it. So you need to make sure that those both are perfectly clean. So after you clean out the jets on here, what you do is put them back. So pretty much from here on out, it's just the reverse of what you did. You want to clean both, because if you tore this all apart, you might as well clean the jets on both of them. So anyways, to install everything, it's obviously just the reverse of what you did. So that's how you clean a carburetor on a 1994 Ducati Supersport 900. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching.